Hi everyone, welcome to Study Buddy Homeschooling. In today's session, we'll be seeing CBSE Class 10 English Chapter 9 Madam Rides the Bus by Vallikannan. We'll be seeing Part 3 and Part 4. Part 1 and Part 2 has already been made as a video and you can refer to the link below given in the description. Now let's move to Part 3 and Part 4. Now let's move to Part 3 written by Vallikannan. Her first journey. What careful, painstaking, elaborate plans she had to make for it. So, for her first trip, Valli had to make lots of planning. She had to do things carefully, painstakingly, which means she had to put in a lot of effort to make her first trip. And she had to plan it elaborately. Elaborate means in detail. She had to plan so much to arrange her money, and so much of planning went in to make her first trip. What careful, painstaking, elaborate plans she had to make for it. She had thriftily saved whatever stray coins came her way. So, thriftily refers to spending money carefully. From the time she had decided to make a trip to the town, she started saving money and she also started spending money carefully wherever needed. So, thriftily refers to spending money wherever needed, not unnecessarily spending. Thriftily saved whatever stray coins. Stray coins refers to casually whoever gave, or it would have just fallen down. So whatever coins came by way randomly, she started collecting them. Resisting every temptation to buy peppermints, toys, balloons, and the like, and finally she had saved a total of 60 paise. So first thing is she started spending money very thriftily, carefully, and she started collecting randomly stray coins from wherever possible. And being an 8-year-old, she resisted the temptation. Temptation refers to urge to buy. Urge to buy peppermints, chocolates, toys, balloons. This is what kids of her age do, right? Whenever they get any single coin or two coins, they just go to the shop and buy chocolates or candies or whatever, and balloons also. So but she refused to do that. She resisted her urge or temptation to buy all these chocolates and finally managed to save a total of 60 paisa. How difficult it had been, particularly that day at the village fair, but she had resolutely stifled a strong desire to ride the merry-go-round even though she had the money. She's been very particular about not spending money on peppermints, toys. But the thing, especially on a village day, village fair, it was very difficult for her because she was so much into merry-go-round. She wanted to go for it, but absolutely, resolutely stifled means controlled her urge with determination not to spend her money for the merry-go-round, even though she had the money. She could have easily gone for merry-go-round, which she liked so much, but somehow she resisted to do the same from doing the same because she had to somehow save 60 paise to make the way for the trip. After she had enough money saved, her next problem was how to slip out of the house without her mother's knowledge. So first problem was saving 60 paise. She knows one way fare it is 30 paise, and again coming back from the town it's another 30 paise, it's 60 paise. Somehow she managed to save 60 paise by controlling her urge to buy chocolates, toys. Even it was during the village fair, she didn't go for merry-go-round and instead save that money to make up for 60 paise to plan her trip. The second problem was she has to go to the town in the bus without her mother's knowledge. How would she do that? But she managed this without too much difficulty. It was not very difficult for her to escape without her mother's knowledge. Every day after lunch, her mother would nap from about 1 to 4 or so. So every day after lunch, her mother would nap. Nap means taking rest. She would rest for about from 1 to 4 p.m. or so. She would just take rest. Valli always used this hours for her excursions. So whenever her mom used to sleep from 1 to 4, she used to use that way that time for excursion. Excursion refers to standing outside her home and watching people, the street people, the buses coming in, going, and especially watching the people who are coming out of the bus or boarding the bus as she stood looking from the doorway of her house. So that was excursion refers to fun trip, right? For her, standing outside their home and watching people is fun for her. That is excursion for her. That's a time when her mom was also sleeping. Or sometimes even ventured out into the village. She even went out of her village also sometimes. Mostly she used to stand outside her home and watch when her mom was sleeping. But sometimes she used to go out. Venturing means going out carefully and courageously out in the village. Today, these same hours could be used for her first excursion outside the village. Yes, so she has used the same time when her mom was sleeping from 1 to 4. She's just using out to go in the bus to the town. The bus rolled on now, cutting across a bare landscape. Bare landscape refers to a dry landscape. So now the bus is going through a dry part of the village. Now rushing through a tiny hamlet or past an odd wayside shop. So now after the bare landscape, it just moved into a tiny hamlet. Tiny hamlet refers to tiny hut-like homes. So there are many homes with in that area, which it's a tiny hamlet. Village hamlet refers to number of huts. So the bus has passed through bare landscape and then the tiny hamlet or past an odd wayside shop and then it crossed wayside shop. Sometimes the bus seemed on the point of gobbling up another vehicle that was coming toward them or a pedestrian crossing the road. For Valli, it was like very different experience because this is her first time, and as she watched the front view of from sitting in the bus, she felt as if the bus was gobbling up another vehicle. As if she felt gobbling means eating up completely. So it felt as if this bus is going to eat up the another vehicle which was coming by. It was that fast for her. She could not believe that, oh, is it going to eat that bus or pedestrian crossing the road. Pedestrian refers to person who is walking on the road. So she felt like that, as if the bus was gobbling up another vehicle or trying to eat up another vehicle. That literally means that it's going to dash on it, probably causing some accident. But lo, somehow it passed on smoothly. Somehow it just moved on. It felt as if it's going to dash on it and gobble up, leaving all the obstacles safely behind. Somehow it just passed through all the things that were coming opposite to the bus and it just passed smoothly. Trees came running towards them, but then stopped as the bus reached them and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side of the road before rushing away in the other direction. We always feel that, right? Whenever we travel in the bus or train, if we have the front view, we always feel that the trees are coming towards us. But after it reaches, we feel it's just close to us, standing there, and after we cross the tree it feels as if it's going backwards. The same thing Valli could feel. Trees came running towards them but then stopped as a bus reached them and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side and the road before rushing away in the other direction. This is what happens when you see sitting in the bus, have a front view, you can feel that the trees are coming towards you, and then when you have a side view you feel they are just standing there, and then as the bus moves you feel they are going backwards. This is what one feels when we travel by bus or train, and Valli also felt the same. Suddenly Valli clapped her hands with glee. Glee refers to absolute happiness. Suddenly she started clapping her hands with happiness and delight. She was too excited. A young cow, tail high in the air, was running very fast right in the middle of the road. So there was this young cow, probably a calf, tail high in the high, was running very fast in the middle of the road right in front of the bus. So this made her laugh like anything. This brought her so much of happiness. the bus slowed to crawl. Since a calf is going in front of the bus slowed down because it can't go fast, right? The calf can move here and there. It could lead to the accident or the death of the calf. So bus slowed to a crawl. So it just slowed down to crawl. Crawl like a baby means going very slowly. And the driver sounded his horn loudly again and again. Now he pressed his horn again, because for a driver who is running, it's going to be very disturbing, right? Whenever an animal is running across or walking across the road when the bus is moving. So he was pressing the horn so much, but the more he honked, the more frightened the animal became. So more he pressed the horn, more scared the animal got, and the faster it galloped. Gallop means started running. So more he pressed the horn, more the animal got frightened, and more it started running fast in the right in front of the bus. So this made Valli go crazy and to start laughing like anything. It was really a delightful sight for her. Somehow this was very funny to Valli. She laughed and laughed until there were tears in her eyes. She laughed so much that she started getting water from her eyes. She started shedding tears from her eyes. Hey lady, haven't you laughed enough? Called the conductor. Better save some for tomorrow. Now the conductor says, a girl, a lady. He's calling her lady only. Haven't you laughed enough? You've laughed enough for today, so save something for tomorrow. You have to save something for tomorrow as well. Don't laugh too much. That's what he said indirectly. At last, the cow moved off the road. Finally, the young calf, moved out of the road. And soon, the bus came to a railroad crossing. So now, then the bus came to a railroad crossing where crossing is kept, and the train passes by and the road is blocked with gates. A speck of train could be seen in the distance. Speck means a small part. A speck of the train could be seen in the distance. She could see train as a very small pot, growing bigger and bigger as it drew near. So as the train started coming, the speck began to grow bigger and bigger. She could see the train clearly. Then it rushed past the crossing gate with tremendous roar and rattle. So what happened is, now the train passed the crossing gate with tremendous roar and rattle means with lots of noise. The train passed the crossing gate, shaking even the bus. This is what happens, right? Whenever a train passes the train crossing and the vehicles that are nearby, you could feel the jerk of the train. Then the bus went on and passed the train station. So now it crossed the crossing gate and then the train station, railway station. From there, it traversed a busy, well laid out shopping street. From there, so again from there, it went to a busy, well laid out shopping street. Then it went to a shopping street, turning, entered a wide thoroughfare. So after that, it reached the main area of that part of the town. Thoroughfare refers to the main road or the main area which connects the other areas. So from there, from the railway station, it went to a busy shopping area, and then third entered into main area, main road of the town. Such big, bright looking shops. She saw such big and bright looking shops. What glittering displays of clothes and other merchandise. So this merchandise refers to things that are put up for sale. So she could see so many bright looking shops with glittering displays of clothes and other things. Merchandise refers to things for sale. Such big crowds. Struck dumb with wonder, Valli gaped at everything. Like, it was first trip outside her village into the town, and it was such a busy shopping street with so many things were there, and she just gaped. She just was stunned to see. She was so absorbed into it, surprised to see everything. She kept looking, peeping into the street. Then the bus stopped and everyone got off except Valli. So now the bus stopped, probably at the final stop, final destination, and everyone got except Valli. Hey lady, said the conductor, aren't you ready to get off? You don't want to get off, get down. This is as far as your 30 paise takes you. So the conductor says this is the maximum which your 30 paise that you have given takes you. It cannot take beyond that. This is the maximum place that we can cover with the 30 paise that you have given. No, Valli said, I am going back on this same bus. She took another 30 paise from her pocket and handed over the coins to the conductor. So now again she says, no, I'm just going back in the same bus, and she took another 30 paise from her pocket to get the return ticket. Why? Is something the matter? Why are you doing that? Anything is there? The conductor asked. No, nothing's the matter. I just felt like having a bus ride. That's all. Now she says, no, no. The conductor asks, anything that you want to tell, anything important? No, 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 nothing. I just want to take a bus ride. That's why. Don't you want to have a look at the sights now that you are here? Now he says, oh, you've come here. Now you should go around and see what's around the town all by myself. She's asking, should I do it all alone? Oh, I'd be much too afraid. Now she's telling that no, she's too afraid to go for sightseeing all alone. Greatly amused by the girl's way of speaking, the conductor said, but you weren't afraid to come in the bus. Now the conductor is really surprised. You're afraid, but how come you were not afraid to get into the bus? Nothing to be afraid of about that, she answered. So she says, nothing to be afraid of about getting into the bus. Well then, why not go to that stall over there and have something to drink? Nothing to be afraid of about that either. Now he says, now when as Valli says that she's not afraid of getting into the bus, then the conductor says, why don't go to the shop there and get a drink and come? That also you don't have to be afraid of. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Now the Valli says that no, she cannot do that. Well then, let me bring you a cold drink. Now the conductor says, I'll offer you a drink. I'll get you a cold drink. No, I don't have enough money. Just give me my ticket. That's all. Since she has saved 60 paise only, she has enough money to go back and come back. And that's it. She doesn't have money to buy a drink also. Now the conductor says, it'll be my treat and cost you nothing. I'll give you a treat. I'll spend the money for the drink. I'll get you the drink. You just drink it. No, no, she said firmly. Please, no, she says. This shows how confident the girl is and not expecting anything from anybody. The conductor shrugged. Shrugged means just lifting up your shoulders to just convey your disbelief, or you're just surprised. So the conductor is surprised and he could not believe that why this girl has got so far into the bus. Again she's not even venturing out and again taking the return ticket. The conductor shrugged. Shrugged means lifting up your shoulder and saying your disapproval. And they waited until it was a time for the bus to begin the return journey. So again the conductor and Valli, they were waiting inside the bus for the passengers to get inside the bus to go back to the village again, the return trip. Again, there weren't many passengers. Since again it's a slack time of the day, there were not many passengers again. Now let's move to the oral comprehension check. How did Valli save up money for her first journey? Was it easy for her? So how did Valli save up? So Valli collected all the stray coins that came her way, randomly collected coins, and she resisted every temptation of buying chocolates, candies, toys, balloons and everything. And was it easy for her? No, it was definitely not easy for her, especially in the village fair when she had to let go of her urge to go in the merry-go-round, which she liked very much. She didn't even go for the merry-go-round, but she preferred to save that money for the bus trip. What did Valli see on her way that made her laugh? What made her laugh? Valli saw a small cow, probably a calf with its tail raised, running in front of the bus. So this made her laugh. And more than that, the driver slowed down the bus, and more he honked, the more the animal got scared and more fast it began to run. So this made her laugh. Third question. Why didn't she get off the bus at the bus station? So why didn't she get off? Her plan previously was to go into the in the bus to the town, sit there, again pay the return ticket and to come back. So that was her plan and she stuck to the plan. And she was scared also to venture out because that was not in her plan. Only this she had to plan so much. And basically she was scared to go out because she was all alone and she was just a 8-year-old girl. Why did Valli want to go to the stall and have a drink? What does this tell you about her? So she didn't want to go to the stall and drink because first of all she was scared to go out into the stall alone and have a drink. And second thing, she didn't have money for the drink as well because she had only 60 paise for her up and down trip, which cost 60 paise, and she had only 60 paise. She didn't drink because she didn't have the money. Third thing is, even when the conductor offered a free drink, she didn't agree to it. She didn't accept it. What does this tell you about her? This shows that she's a very planned person and she went according to her plan. There were no distractions from her plan. She saved whatever was needed for the plan and she executed it accordingly. She even didn't allow the conductor to give her a drink because though she was just an 8-year-old girl, she was scared and she didn't trust anybody. Her only wish was to just go and take a bus, right? And that's what she did, and she just stuck to her plans. Now let's move into part 4 of the story. Madam rides the bus. Won't your mother be looking for you? The conductor asked when he gave the girl her ticket. So he is giving her the return ticket because she gave him 30 paise. Now he is asking, won't your mother look out for you in you're on the bus trip? No, no one will be looking for me, she said. She says nobody is looking out for me. The bus started and again there were the same wonderful sights. So they were again beautiful sights that she could see in the return journey. Valli wasn't bored in the slightest and greeted everything with the same excitement she'd felt the first time. So Valli was not at all bored. Just 15 minutes back she had the trip, but still she showed the same excitement and she was just looking forward to this trip again with the same enthusiasm she made while coming from her village to the town. But suddenly she saw a young cow lying by the roadside, just where it had been struck by some fast moving vehicle. So the same, she saw some young cow lying dead there in the roadside. It seems to have been hit by a vehicle. Isn't that the same cow that ran in front of the bus on a trip to town? She asked the conductor. Now she's surprised because she's asking, is it the same cow that came running before when during our trip to the town? She asked the conductor. The conductor nodded. The conductor said yes. It was the same cow which was running, which made her very happy. And now this cow was dead on the road. And she was overcome with sadness. Now she was full of sadness. She was till now she was very happy with her trip. She was all looking out with all the excitement. Suddenly seeing the death of the cow, she became sad. And that too the same cow which was running in front of her bus. What had been a lovable, beautiful creature just a little while ago had now suddenly lost its charm and its life and looked so terrible, so frightening as it lay there, legs spread eagled, a fixed stare in its lifeless eyes, blood all over. Now she could not believe at all. Valli could not believe what was a loving, beautiful creature few minutes ago. Now it's dead, looking horrible, uh, run over by a huge, heavy vehicle, and it spread its legs widely. The eyes are lifeless, just staring, and there is blood all over. The bus moved on. The memory of the dead cow haunted her. So the bus started moving, but now still the memory of the dead cow still stayed in her mind. It just kept on repeating in her mind, coming to her mind again and again, dampening her enthusiasm. Dampening means bringing down her enthusiasm. So she was all excited previously. Now her enthusiasm came down because the memory of the dead cow started coming again and again in her mind. She no longer wanted to look out of the window. Look out the window. Now she didn't want to look out of the window because she lost the enthusiasm. Now she's become so sad thinking about the dead cow. She sat thus, glued to her seat, until the bus reached her village at 3:40. So now again the bus reached her village by 3:40. Still that time, since she saw the death of the cow, young cow, after that she was just seated on the seat and she didn't look anywhere. And the bus reached her village at 3:40. She stood up and stretched herself. She just stretched herself because she was sitting for a very long time. Then she turned to the conductor and said, "Well, sir, I hope to see you again." Now she has seemed to have some good manners, at least to say that goodbye. She says, "I want to see you again. I hope to see you again." She says bye to him. "Okay, madam," he answered her, smiling. So, okay, he said. "Whenever you feel like a bus ride, come and join us. Don't forget to bring your fare." So whenever you want to make a bus trip, please come and join. And please don't bring your money, he says. She laughed. Oh, after a long time, she laughed. Jumped down the bus. Then away she went, running straight for home. So she just went straight to her home. When she entered her house, she found her mother awake. It was only 3:40, and when she went, her mother was awake, talking to one of Valli's aunts, the one from South Street. So Valli's aunt has come from the South Street, and her mom was awake and she was talking to her. This aunt was a real chatterbox. Chatterbox means someone who keeps talking continuously, never closing her mouth once she started talking. So this auntie, Valli's auntie, who was from South Street, was a continuous chatterbox. Means she keeps on talking continuously. Once she starts, she never stops. "And where have you been?" said her aunt when Valli came in. So now the auntie is asking, "Where did you go?" She spoke very casually, not expecting a reply. That was a casual question and she never expected an answer also. She just asked very casually. So Valli just smiled. So Valli realized that auntie is asking very casually. She just smiled and her mother and aunt went on with their conversation. So Valli is a very smart girl. She is able to read people also. She knows that she asked very casually and she didn't have to answer and she just smiled and went away. "Yes, you are right," her mother said. "So many things in our midst and in the world outside. How can we possibly know about everything?" Again, mother and Valli's aunt started talking. So what are they talking? So many things in our midst. In our midst refers to in our surroundings. So many things are happening in our surroundings and in the outside world. So many things are happening. So how can we possibly know about everything? We cannot know everything. That's what her mother says. And even when we do know about something, we often can't understand it completely. Can we? This is what her mother says. Mother says that there are so many things happening with us in our midst and in the world outside also. Uh, even when we do know about something, even if we know something, we cannot understand them completely. Can we? "Oh, yes," breathed Valli. "What?" asked her mother. "What's that you say?" So Valli's mother couldn't believe that Valli said, "Oh, yes." Valli's mother could not believe such a 8-year-old girl can understand that many things. It was a complicated topic that they were discussing, that there are so many things that goes around them and outside the world, and it's definitely not possible to understand everything. And for that she says, "Oh, yes." "Oh." And for her mother asks, "What's that you say?" "Oh," said Valli, "I was just agreeing with what you said about things happening without our knowledge." So again Valli says, Yeah, I was just saying that there are so many things that happens without our knowledge. Just a chit of a girl, she is, says her aunt. And yet, look how she pokes her nose into our conversation just as though she were a grown up lady. Now, her auntie is saying, she's just a small girl, and look how she's poking her nose into our conversation. She's taking interest in our conversation as if she's a grown up lady, her auntie is saying. Valli smiled to herself. She just smiled to herself. She didn't want them to understand her smile. So she really didn't want them to understand because she has made a trip without her mother's knowledge, and she has so much seen so much in her trip up and down. She was so happy in the beginnings, then she saw the death, and she saw death of the cow, and then she um, uh, was thinking about it and the return trip, and then again she was overcome with sadness. She returned home, and then she pulled off even saying greetings goodbye to the conductor, and she has seen so much things in the past 2 3 hours outside her own world for the first time. So that's what she meant, and she smiled. But then there wasn't much of chance of that, was there? So there's no way that they could understand what she was telling. So it's translated from the Tamil by K.S. Sundaram. Drawings by R.K. Lakshman. So now let's go into the thinking about the text. What was Valli's deepest desire? Valli's deepest desire was to make a trip to the town in the town bus. That was her plan because every day she used to watch people standing outside her front gate and watching people in a street, and especially the bus which comes from the nearest town, and the people, she loves watching the people getting in and getting out of the bus. How did Valli plan her bus ride? What did she find out about the bus, and how did she save up for the fare? So how did Valli plan her bus ride? She got to know the details by talking to her friends and neighbors who went on the bus ride. She came to know that the distance between her village and town was about 6 miles, 45 minutes distance, and 30 paise per trip. All these information she found out. And how did she save up? She saved up by getting any stray coins that came her way and not eating any chocolates, toys, balloons, not buying anything, and even village fair she didn't even go for the merry-go-round. What kind of a person is Valli? To answer this question, pick out the following sentences from the text and fill in the blanks. The words you fill in are the clues to your answer. So what kind of a person is Valli? So Valli is a very confident, curious, determined 8-year-old girl. So let's fill in the blanks. First one, stop the bus. And a tiny hand was raised commandingly. So she was a very confident girl. Second one, yes, I simply have to go to town, said Valli, standing outside the bus. Third one, there's nobody here who is a child, she said haughtily. I have paid my 30 paisa like everyone else. Fourth one, never mind, she said. I can get on myself. You don't have to help me. I'm not a child, I tell you, she said irritably. This happened when conductor was giving her a helping hand to raise her up. You needn't bother about me. I can take care of myself, Valli said, turning her face toward the window and staring out. This was when the old grandmother was sitting next to her. She said that how can an 8-year-old can go all alone without knowing any street address. Then she turned to the conductor and said, well, sir, I hope to see you again. So this shows how polite girl with good manners she had, despite being very sad about the death of the cow. She even had the courage to say goodbye. Why does the conductor refer to Valli as Madam? So he refers to her as Madam because she was making a trip all alone, and then when the conductor gave her hand to pull her up, she said no, that she said she's grown up, and she kept reassuring that she's a grown up, and because she bought her own 30 paise to get a ticket. This made conductor refer to her as Madam. Fifth question, find the lines in the text which tell you that Valli was enjoying her ride on the bus. So there are lots of lines, and one of them is Valli devoured everything with her eyes. So she really enjoyed everything that she saw with her eyes. Sixth question, why does Valli refuse to look out of the window on her way back? On her way back, she refused to look out of the window because she was too sad because about the death of the young cow, uh, which lay on the road. And she was too sad about the death. It was the same cow which was moving in front of her bus. So after knowing about the death, after seeing the dead body of the cow, she became very sad. What does Valli mean when she says, I was just agreeing with you with what you said about things happening without her knowledge? So she means to say that, she has gone on a trip by herself without her mother's knowledge, and she had to experience so many different things within a span of 3 hours. She began to see a different world. It was a different world for her. She saw trains, she saw lots of shopping places, lots of different people, and again on the way back, a death of a cow, all that made her very sad. So she saw different things in a short span of time without her mother's knowledge. The author describes a thing that Valli sees from an 8-year-old's point of view. Can you find evidence from the text for this statement? So the author has written the story from a perspective of a 8-year-old girl, Valli. That is seen from the way he describes about the color of the bus and the silver bars on the bus and the soft and luxurious seat on the bus. This is from a perspective of a 8-year-old girl. So on the sideways, how green it is. Uh, this describes this is described from a point of view of a 8-year-old girl. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.